Christian Hernandez here with Sports Video Group at our SVG Sports Cloud Production Forum in New York City. Pleased to be joined by ESPN's Dan Lannon. Dan, how you doing, sir, and how's the event going for you so far?
The event's really great. It's good to just hear where the industry's at, where everybody else is utilizing some of the tool sets, both from a production standpoint or a broadcaster standpoint, as well as the cloud providers and the different software vendors. So it's really good just to learn about how different people and different groups are utilizing cloud productions in various different ways, because the landscape is vast and there's a lot of options out there. So understand what everybody's doing. It's a really good event to kind of understand.
Well, we're really glad you're here. Since COVID, obviously, the cloud has been a concept that has been, accelerated and elevated for productions. But you guys went all in at ESPN. In January, you did, I would say, one of the first, or if not the first, all-in-one production in the cloud for college basketball. You just did a couple of, at the time of this recording, games for softball in the cloud. Talk about the nuances of that production, any challenges, how you overcame it, and what the overall feedback was after you guys were done.
Yeah, we ultimately were. We've done a lot of tests prior to getting to that point, and really looking at narrowing in on the all-in-one production model that we utilize on-prem. And so our focus initially was to understand where the industry's at, and kind of from a live production standpoint, it took a little bit to catch up, right? Across the media and entertainment landscape, different people in the media supply chains are using it in different fashions, but live production took a little bit for the tool sets to get there. And so that was our initial kind of foray into it, was just to see where everything's at, and we were pleasantly surprised. And so after that, we were really focusing in on the smaller tier 2, tier 3 productions and utilizing our all-in-one production solutions for that, which we do on-prem, and really lifting and shifting. And the idea behind that was you've got an operating community that knows how to use these tools, as well as you've got production folks that understand and have some expectations of what these systems can do. And so that was our first idea behind it. And so we're utilizing Simply Live VBox, we're utilizing VizRT from a graphic standpoint, Solid State Logic from audio mixing, Dante to get in between everything, and NDI, as well as Sienna for multi-viewing and audio processing, Signiant file transfers, really trying to replicate the upstream workflows, as we look at, we run graphics in Viz, so why don't we replicate that so that we don't have to design something new in a different format, at least to start, right? Sure. And so as we moved those into the cloud, and as we felt comfortable with all the different accoutrements that we had to add, it was really then testing and support to get to that point, and planning, so that the last thing we wanted to do was fall on our face the first time, because then it's really hard to go back and say, hey, give us another shot, right? I know that one went bad, but just another shot. Sure. And so the cavalry came in from all the different software vendors. We worked with AWS and their team, and we got a lot of support from that standpoint. So college basketball went on. We took a George Mason game to air, and then we did 2 Washington versus Stanford softball games this past weekend, actually, and replicated that model, and pleasantly surprised. And pleased with the outcome. There's still some things the things that we take for granted in monitoring and QC audio and all the different other accoutrements, as I like to say, sure, that we take for granted every day in a facility, that we've got to find some solutions for. But we really refined this model with the help of all these different software vendors, so that we're kind of getting to the point where we're very comfortable with it. So we need to look at that from a scale standpoint now. How do we support it? We've got an army of engineers coming in. If we want to do this from a volume standpoint, 10 times, 100 times, 200 times, we're going to have to be able to support that ourselves, both from a building standpoint as well as a live support standpoint. So we've got some training, we've got some enablement that we need to do and move forward and look at that as we really look at this from a scale perspective. But pleasantly surprised, pleased and optimistic at where we're at, and we think this is a really good opportunity to leverage a different model and a different production model that we can give to our various partners and say, here's another option that you can utilize. Past that, where we go, it's really how do we start utilizing some different tools to solve different problems. We're focused on live events now on tier 2 and tier 3, but the landscape's big even for ESPN, and there's digital, there's social, there's studio productions. What are the right tools that we can find? What are the platforms that are out there that are, there are software that is built for the cloud, as opposed to some vendors lifting and shifting. How do we start to take advantage of new tools and do things a little bit different, so that we can get to the point of here's the right tool for the right job, and we can really start to customize and mold for that.
Sure. One last question before I let you go, Dan. If for some reason you're just starting to get in the cloud, if you haven't, you're maybe a little bit behind the 8 ball, but if you are, one piece of advice, two pieces of advice for someone that, as a veteran like yourself, who is used to these workflows, I would say you are, because of those two events that you did were pretty difficult, complex to do. But one or two pieces of advice that you'd give to someone that may just be starting out.
Yeah, I think generic advice would say find the right partners who understand and are risky enough. Make sure you plan it out so that you don't fall on your face or make a gigantic mistake, and team up with those partners so that you're supportable and can get to that point. I think for us, beyond finding the right partners, it was the right mechanism at first, and for ESPN, it was lifting and shifting to make people comfortable. That makes sense because everybody walks in and this is the gear that I use, or this is the expectations of what I know this system can do. And as long as it's functioning the same, I have all the same menu options, everything else, it's good. I don't care if it's in an equipment room or in the back of the truck or in the cloud, it's all the same. So I really think that was the right starting point for us, but it's also, you get a whole lot more adoption when you're also solving a problem. So those are the two things that I would say for the various different broadcasters out there or production companies, is either find something that you need to solve a problem for, and that way people are open to different tools in different ways, or lift and shift so that you're expanding your ability to meet the scale. You know, ESPN, we expand, as we have a bunch of concurrent events, and then we shrink up. So, solving the right problem with the right partners, both internally and externally, has really made us successful so far. And veteran status is, we'll call that what it is. We'll agree to disagree on that because there's still a lot to learn, and there's a lot of really good people that are helping us both inside the company and outside the company as we continue to learn and innovate and iterate through this process. So it's been exciting so far.
It's a trail that still needs to be blazed. We'll see where we are in the future. But Dan, thank you for taking the time. Enjoy the rest of the today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
For more from the Sports Cloud Production Forum here in New York City, please head over to our website for more interviews like this one with Dan at our website at sportsvideo.org.